What's up guys, I am Gypsy and I'm back here today with round 1 of the NPL playoffs. I hope you guys are hyped. This week we are going up against Aberforth for a round 1 match, and this is a guy we played earlier on in the season. If you guys haven't heard of Aberforth, you should have, because you're watching my channel. Aberforth is a really good guy and an amazing player. He's made a fantastic comeback this season after catching a couple of losses in the mid-season. He just went on this winning streak that took him all the way up until towards the end of the season. I think he lost to Jolt late in the season, but he secured himself a playoff spot, which is amazing, and he's definitely going to be a worthy opponent in round 1. As you guys can see, Aberforth's team has changed a bit since we last played him. If you haven't seen my last match against him in the regular season, then I recommend you go and check out my playlist. It's got all the NPL matches thus far up on it, so yeah, go and check it out and see how we matched up against his previous team. But for those who have, you'll notice that his team has actually changed a lot. Most notably, he's actually switched up his Mega. So he originally drafted Mega Altaria, but he did make quite the restructure of his team, and now he has Mega Diancie, which is it's faster, it's stronger than Mega Altaria. Doesn't have the same bulk and sweeping potential. Well, it definitely does have sweeping potential. It can rock polish, it can Carmine. They're both fantastic ones in their own right. Diancie offers utility in Magic Bounce, but it does have a 4x weakness to Steel, which I can definitely build around. However, Mega Diancie is also a faster mon, as I said, compared to Altaria's base 80. It's got nice base 110 speed, so yeah, it's definitely a huge threat. And the rest of his team really supports Mega Diancie quite well. He's got Empoleon to eat steel hits for days, as well as Raikou. He's got the Victini there, which couples very nicely with Diancie as well, being able to check steel types quite nicely for Diancie to put in the work. He's also obtained Staraptor, which is a big threat. He's obtained Reuniclus. He swapped out his Cresselia for Reuniclus, and Reuniclus is without a doubt better than Cresselia. It's a lot more versatile. It has a lot more, it's got a lot more different sets it can run. It's stronger for sure, and it's definitely it's got comparable physical bulk, certainly not special bulk, but the defensive stats of Cresselia are far above Reuniclus, but by virtue of its high health stat and its reliable recovery and recover, and its boosting, it can acid armor, Carmine. Reuniclus is just as good a bulky psychic as Cresselia in many ways. So definitely something to think about when I was building. He's also got Sneasel, which poses a big threat to my team, as you guys can see there. He didn't don't think he brought it in our first game, but Sneasel is a huge, I could be wrong on that, actually it's been a while, but Sneasel is a big threat to my team. That's definitely something that I did want to take into account when building. So without a doubt, I'm going to jump into the team that I brought today. I wanted to go in depth because it's playoff, guys. I stopped doing team builders in the regular season for a while there because of time constraints, and also because of the fact that I didn't want to reveal my sets to my divisional opponents and stuff like that. But I wanted to give you guys a team builder for this match because it is so hype. It's playoffs, and I'm not going to be playing Aberforth again this season. So if I get knocked out here, then I don't play him. I'm out. If he gets knocked out, then he's knocked out. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So first up we have Mew, and Mew's basic role here is to check the Mega Diancie. With this investment, I am able to comfortably switch in to any hit from Mega Diancie, even if it does have a Carmine up and Oko with Iron Head. So this Iron Head, this Adamant 52 attack spread means that I guarantee kill any variant of offensive Diancie. If it's like a max HP variant of Diancie, then I'm able to two-shot it with the Iron Head. If he's max HP, then he's more than likely a bulky variant to take on Weaver, so max HP, max defense, for example. It's a 2-hit KO, but then he does even less damage to Mew, so Mew guaranteed beats it, even including crits. So any variant of Diancie can't beat this Mew, essentially. I've got U-turn for momentum. Being able to grab momentum versus things on his team is very important, as you guys are going to see when we get to a few other members of my team. U-turn is very nice for stuff like Reuniclus, but we'll get back there when I talk about Wobbuffet later on in the match, later on in the team builder. So I've got EQ here. EQ is for Raikou. This attack investment allows me to guarantee to occur the Raikou. I am expecting him to run Magnet Rise though, because I do have a Stunfisk, and I did mention to Aberforth that Raikou learns Magnet Rise a while ago in the season, and he was pretty excited to hear that, so I am expecting a Magnet Rise for sure. So I won't necessarily spam EQ with Mew in on a Raikou. I'll more than likely U-turn out something like Weavile or my Wobbuffet if that's the case, and he does bring the Raikou. But you know, having EQ there is very nice. It also allows me to carry an offensive Empoleon, which is very important. Empoleon is a huge threat to my team. You know, you can just spam Skulls, it can set up rocks, it can defog hazards. It's just not a fun mon for this team of 6 to take on. So EQ is definitely a necessity. Finally, you have Grass Knot. Grass Knot is here. EQ also allows me to hit Victini as well, as Victini, a banded or a banded variant won't be able to knock me out. A special variant won't be able to knock me out due to my Assault Vests, and EQ is going to do a ton to Victini, especially if it's at -1 after a V create drop. So a Grass Knot finally here is for the Rhyperior. While this set won't kill a tank like a very bulky Rhyperior with the Grass Knot, it still will do a lot of damage. After like an offensive variant of Rhyperior, I believe gets killed by Grass Knot, even though I am adamant. I think after a bit of chip damage, so that is definitely nice. Grass Knot is very important because a double dancing Rhyperior could potentially pose a threat to my team, and that's not something I wanted to risk. I wanted each mon to have a way of threatening Rhyperior. I didn't want to give it a free chance to set up, as you know that could really spell a big problem for my team. So Mew is a very you know, it's a very unique set this week, but it definitely has very important roles. You know, this set can't touch Weezing, which is pretty hilarious outside of Ironhead, but I don't expect Aberforth to keep a Weezing in on my Mew if he does decide to bring it. And I have, you know, I have some other great ways of checking Weezing as we're going to get into as we continue. Keeping in mind Weezing was his check to Weavile last game. He actually brought a really cool Rest Talk Weezing set, which was his dedicated answer to Weavile, which was pretty cool. But now he also has he has a couple of ways to take on. He can potentially run Mega Diancie like a defensive spread to take on a Weavile, but Weavile also gets Iron Tail, so that's, you know, that might not be the best idea on his part, but you know, we'll see when we get to the match. Next up we have my Alamomola. Now this spread, it's pretty important. The 40 special attack investment allows me to break the sub of a specially defensive Zygarde, which could potentially set up coils versus my team. Although I do have Wob, it's not something I wanted to risk. You know, I may as well just run the Ice Beam. The extra HP investment isn't that crucial at all. So basically a max defensive spread with some Alamomola allows me to take on the Zygarde, you know, quite well. Allows me to beat the Rhyperior with Scald. If he's an offensive variant, he can't 2-KO me, I 2-KO him with Scald. If he's a bulky variant, it's the same story. He can't 2-KO me, I can Wish Protect, I can Scald, 3-KO him with Scald. You know, 2-KO if I get the burn. Just a very nice one overall. I can eat a hit from Diancie, like a max special attack Moonblast, just by virtue of my massive HP stat, and fire off a relatively strong Scald, putting it in guaranteed range to go down to an Ironhead, to go down to any of Metagross's attacks, and to go down to an Icicle Crash from Weavile, so if he's an offensive variant. So yeah, very nice. Alamomola is pretty important. You'll notice the fact that I do have Wish on this set as well. Being able to pass Wishes into Mew and Wobbuffet is just amazing. As I said, Mew is going to be a real pain to stuff like Mega Diancie, to stuff like Victini, depending on the spread. Even stuff like Banded Staraptor, Mew can eat a hit while it can't do much back. Being able to eat a hit and fire off an Ironhead, or even just U-turn out, is to gain momentum is quite nice. And being able to pass a Wish into it from Alamomola is going to be very key if I do get into that sort of scenario. So next up, we have Weavile. Weavile is a complete menace to Aberforth's team. He does have Empoleon, which could be like a defensive spread to check it. Of course I could run Low Kick, but he could be like a Chopper variant with Flash Cannon. He does definitely have ways to take on Weavile. He could run like a Lure Victini set. He could run a Scarf Sneasel. He could run a Rhyperior, doesn't even die to Icicle Crash, doesn't come close to dying, so Rhyperior could definitely beat the Weavile 1v1. Barring I don't get any flinches. He could definitely run a Colberberry Uniclus, which I think is a very nice lure. Colberberry, even Colberberry Drain Punch, Colberberry Hidden Power Fighting, Colberberry Focus Blast to murk the Weavile. So Weavile is definitely something I'm not going to play too aggressively. I'm going to play it aggressively, but I'm not going to be done with it. I'm definitely going to scout out his sets before I commit to you know, knocking off something like Uniclus or knocking off a Victini. Running damage calcs is going to be very key in this match, and I do have mons like Alamomola to pivot to scout for damage on stuff like Victini, so that is, you know, I have a lot of room to scout. his sets in that regard. But Ice Crash, very important for stuff like Mega Diancie, Oko Zygarde, barring a Yachi variant. Deals the most damage to Weezing, which is nice after items knocked off. Ice Shot obviously for stuff like Scarf Staraptor, a boosted Zygarde. With HP investment, I live a +1 extreme speed from Zygarde, which is important if he does decide to bring that. Knockoff spam is pretty nice versus his team. Losing items. He doesn't have the greatest switch in. Like I said, if I can weaken Empoleon, then it's not a good switch into Weavile either, as it will get a lot of damage done by knockoff. And that's essentially Weavile. I don't really need to go into too much depth about it. You guys know what it does, but at this point in the season, it just takes lives. And next up, we have the star of the show, and that is Metagross. This Metagross is a very interesting sort of set this week, but I really feel as though it has the potential to put in the work. Bullet Punch destroys any Diancie at all. It just ends its life. Pretty self-explanatory. Bullet Punch is also really nice for stuff like Staraptor. If it's got like a Scarf Staraptor and I'm at low health with Metagross, I can get a last-ditch Bullet Punch off, which will deal pretty solid damage. It's also nice for Sneasel, kills any variant of Sneasel as well, which is very nice. Then I have Psychic to Oko, a defensive Weezing. Even like an Assault Vest Weezing gets killed after a little bit of chip damage. If Assault Vest Weezing wants to switch in on, say, Nidoking and gets whittled, Assault Vest Weezing is a very nice bring versus a especially offensive Nidoking, even obviously an offensive Nidoking as well, like physically offensive. If I can whittle the Weezing down, Assault Vest Weezing dies to Psychic with ease, but yeah. Standard defensive Weezing gets completely destroyed by Psychic. Next up we've got Grass Knot. This spread allows me to guarantee kill a Rhyperior, barring a Rindo Berry variant, which is very important. As I said, Rhyperior, I don't want to give it any free opportunities to set up. Grass Knot is essential to taking down the Rhyperior, which might think it could stay in. I am speed creeping a max speed Rhyperior, as in our last game we played, Aberforth mentioned that he actually ran max speed on his Rhyperior to potentially outspeed a Metagross, expecting him not to run full speed, so I am making sure I am creeping max speed Jolly Rhyperior. And this spread, the reason I'm running Lonely is I didn't want to miss out on my Spadef, as taking an Earth Power from Diancie, I might need to do that. Nothing on his team like that's going to hit me physically that I can survive anyway. Obviously Earthquakes from Rhyperior are going to kill me regardless of whether I'm Lonely or not if he's offensive. An EQ from a boosting Zygarde is going to kill me. Victini's V-Create is going to kill me. Sneasel's Knockoff is going to kill me. So I'm better off running like Lonely rather than Naughty and missing out on Spadef, as Spadef could come in clutch versus stuff like Reuniclus. Getting EQ damage off, forcing Reuniclus to recover, as we're going to get into later, is going to be very important, and I'd rather have Spadef. As you guys can see, Metagross has a really high defense stat anyway, so losing out a bit of defense isn't the end of the world. I'm still very bulky with 266 in defense, so that is pretty nice. And EQ is again for the Raikou. I expect Raikou to run Magnet Rise, so I'm not necessarily going to assume he's going to EQ is going to work, but Psychic does a lot. Psychic does like between 30 and 40% to Raikou, so I think it's like mid 30s. So if I can Psychic on his Magnet Rise, then it's essentially free damage on him. Psychic is just very nice. EQ is very nice versus the Raikou. If he isn't a Magnet Rise variant, it 2-echoes the Empoleon as well, which is important, and it's my best way of hitting Reuniclus for damage, as I feel as though a defensive Reuniclus could definitely make an appearance, and if I can whittle him down with EQ, I can trap him with Wobbuffet later on, which we're going to get into. So next up we have my Focus Sash Nidoking. This will essentially be my lead in most circumstances. I contemplated running a Sugar Berry variant, an Assault Vest variant, even the Water Resist Berry, the Pasho Berry for Empoleon. However, Focus Sash is just better in all situations. If he wants to lead with Diancie and he wants to take me out with Earth Power, I can guarantee leave the hit and revenge him with Earth Power, kill him off with Earth Power. If he wants to lead with Empoleon, I get a guaranteed hit off with Earth Power. If he doesn't burn me with Skull, then I can get my T-Spikes up, which is just very nice versus his team. T-Spikes are huge. T-Spikes, they whittle every one of his mons, barring stuff like Weezing and Staraptor. And Empoleon, Earth Power is just very big, and T-Spikes are very big. Basically, if I can get an Earth Power off on the Empoleon, which is my game plan, if he wants to lead with it, because it does have a very nice matchup versus my team, I can I can guarantee that my Metagross or my Mew can take it out, or even stuff like my Weavile with a knockoff. So that's Nidoking. I've got Ice Beam for a Chestnut. I've got it for Zygarde. Pretty standard coverage versus this team. Ice Beam also does a decent amount to a Weezing that wants to switch in. It's my way of hitting Weezing. There was no point running Sludge Wave, as especially defensive Zygarde could have easily boosted up on an Earth Power Sludge Wave variant of Nidoking, because it's such a bulky mon. And Sucker Punch is there for in case I get into a situation with like a max, if I get a low roll versus the Diancie with Earth Power and he's like a very bulky spread, I can Sucker Punch him next turn and guarantee take him out. Sucker Punch is also a nice priority versus the Staraptor. Again, if I'm in a situation where he wants to lock himself into Banded Brave Bird turn 1 or something, and I Ice Beam and I don't take him out, Sucker Punch will kill him next turn. Yeah, it's quite situational, but it will be nice. Sucker Punch also quite nice for like a last ditch effort versus the Raikou, and a boosting Reuniclus, like a Reuniclus with Carmine's up. Sucker Punch, there's just no reason not to run it. I contemplated Taunt, but I'm better off being offensive with this Nidoking, as it is going to likely be my lead. So lastly, we have Wobbuffet. Mama-Jolt. Wobbuffet is a really good bring in this game. It could potentially cripple the Reuniclus, and the reason I say that is I'm creeping a sort of a Reuniclus running a fair bit of speed, like a little bit of speed to creep my Wob. This setup actually allows me to Encore. If I can encourage the Reuniclus to start setting up Carmines or even lock it into Recover, I can Encore lock it. I can then proceed to Tickle it. Tickle, actually, for those of you who don't know, reduces its attack and defense by 1 stage. Obviously the attack is irrelevant, but lowering its defenses with Tickle whilst trapping it with Shadow Tag and locking it into an Encore, locking it into Recovery or Setup, means that even if it is a Colberberry variant, I can trap it with Wobbuffet, get it to -6, switch out to Weavile, and kill it with Pursuit, even through a Colberberry. So very important. If I can pull this off. It also allows me to more effectively trap things on his team with the combination of Weavile with Pursuit. Just lowering its defenses with Tickle is very nice. Being able to counter stuff like a Victini or even like a Sneasel is going to be pretty big, as well as Staraptor. Mirror Coat obviously for Diancie, and stuff like a special Victini. Pretty standard Wob, but I feel as though it synergizes very nicely with my Pursuit Trapper on my team. It's a strat that I've wanted to use for quite some time now, but it just never really I had the opportunity to, so I'm glad, I hope we can pull it off this match. I'm glad I was able to bring it to at least one game. So that's the team build. I have spoken for so long, and I fully get if you guys just want to skip this, but I feel as though a lot of the people who watch my videos like to understand my thought process and like to get a bit of insight into how we do it in the NPL. So yeah, I'm going to pause it here, and we're going to be back with the match. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. Alright guys, we are back with the match, and as you guys can see, Aberforth has brought the Empoleon, so definitely a threatening one. I didn't see Rhyperior, which is nice. Rhyperior was definitely a threat to my team. Like a bandit variant is quite tricky for my team to deal with if Alamomola gets weakened. But you guys see the Reuniclus there, you see the Sneasel, which is a huge threat, so I definitely agree with him bringing Sneasel versus my team. Victini is a big threat. And then I see Weezing, and I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy because I feel as though Metagross will now be able to put in the work versus his Weezing. Metagross has a very nice time. Bullet Punch kills Diancie, kills Sneasel. Obviously Victini murks Metagross, but Metagross can beat the Empoleon 1v1 barring Skull Burns, and Psychic handles the Weezing. So, I'm feeling as though the matchup is pretty decent. I do think Diancie and Victini together could be a huge problem for my team, but it just really depends how I play around them. So looking at matchup, I did, as I said earlier in the team builder, Nidoking is 100% my lead. If he wants to lead with Empoleon, which makes a lot of sense, versus me, unless he's not a Shukaberry variant, which means he might be a bit reluctant to lead with it. Nidoking matches up very nicely versus most things, and also the Diancie is a potential lead if he's a Protect variant. If he's not Protect Diancie, then he's likely not going to lead with it. But I'm just going to lead with my Nidoking regardless. As you guys are going to see, he leads with his Sneasel. So Aberforth makes a great lead play, leading with Sneasel, predicting, I guess, either my Metagross to have Stealth Rocks, my Nidoking to have Stealth Rocks, or even my Mew. He made a great lead choice here, because if he's like a Sash variant or even a Scarf variant, he could potentially low kick my Weavile, take him out, eliminating a massive threat to his team. Sneasel was a fantastic lead on his part, but because I am Sash, I am just going to stay in here and click Earth Power, weakening this Sneasel, breaking its potential Sash, putting it in guaranteed range to die to anything on my team. It actually dies to a Sucker Punch after taking Earth Power damage, but I'm going to have to scout his set first, see if he is Life Orb. He's going to go for the Icicle Crash. Luckily he doesn't flinch us and we are able to get off the Earth Power, so that is huge. Now I could have stayed in here and gone for Sucker Punch, but Abe is a very good player. He's fully aware that Nidoking does get Sucker Punch, and because I'm Sash, perhaps it was like an obvious tell. So I'm just not going to risk that, and I'm just going to switch out to my Alomomola here. So he actually fires off the Ice Shard, so that is very nice for us. Now, in this situation where every turn matters, I didn't want to allow him to get a free switch out to his Empoleon on my Alomomola, which really can't do much to Empoleon. The best I can do is knock it off, but I don't even think knockoff doesn't kill Sneasel at this range. So my play here, if I am to stay in with Alomomola, is just to Scald to eliminate this big threat to my team. I didn't want to allow him a free switch out into his Empoleon, so I make the double. I go back out into my Nidoking. I see he actually fires off a Toxic, so you know, we'll call that a prediction. No, but seriously, he does go for the Toxic there, which is a good play on the Alomomola. Now I don't want to risk my Nidoking going down here to an Ice Shard. I have no reason to. I don't think he has Pursuit. He showed Toxic, Icicle Crash, Ice Shard. He's more than likely got Knockoff, so I felt confident in just switching back out to my Alomomola. I did think he was going to Ice Shard, and I have no reason for anything else on my team to take damage. So I'm just going to go back out to my Alomomola. And I am going to take out the Sneasel here with a Scald, as he does get off the Toxic. So a bit of a wasted turn there, but important nonetheless, as I wasn't going to allow his Empoleon to come in for free and set up rocks. But that's not really something I can help right now, so I just go out to my Nidoking just in case he did get up Stealth Rocks. But he makes the good play and Scalds there on my Nidoking. Had I got it in, had he rocks there and I got it in, I would have been able to set up T-Spikes, which would have been very nice for Diancie and Victini, but he makes the great play and just doesn't want to allow my Nidoking to switch in unpunished. So definitely a nice play on his part as Nidoking goes down. Unfortunate for sure, but I did eliminate Sneasel, which is a massive threat, which takes a lot of pressure off of Mew, Metagross, and my own Weavile, as well as my Wobbuffet. So I'm just going to stay in here and trap the Empoleon with my Wobbuffet as he sets up Stealth Rocks as I click Encore. So right here, I am just going to start tickling this Empoleon as this is pretty nice. We can just tickle him down. He may have Roar, but Roar, once he loses his Encore, he's going to have negative priority, so I can just Encore him again. He just fires off a Scald, as I now Encore him into Scald, just in case he wanted to click. I could have just clicked the Miracote there, but in case he wanted to roar me out, which he could potentially run to phase something like a boosting Mew, it wasn't worth allowing him to roar me there, and potentially not switching out to my Pursuit Trapper and Weavile, because if I go out to Weavile now on a potential Stealth Rocks, I can trap him with Pursuit and kill him. So it wasn't worth letting him roar for free there. So I did just Encore as he goes for the Scald. Now I can start throwing off Miracotes, which is as you guys can see, it's a 2 occur, and he will pop my Citrus Berry, so I'll be able to get up to a nice amount of health. 62, it's not crazy, but it does mean I can still receive wishes from Alomomola with relative ease. After Stealth Rocks, I'll come in at 50%, as I'm at 62, so still at a decent amount of health. Right here, he goes into his Diancie, and the only way he goes into his Diancie on a Wobbuffet is if he has either Sub, or Toxic, or something like Carmine. I did think Carmine was his best play, as Carmine does help him break my fat things like my Mew and my Alomomola, so I'm not going to let him set up for free. I'm just going to switch out to the Mew, capitalizing on his setup right here, as he does fire for Carmine, so we get that play right. And now I can just freely go for the Iron Head. You guys are going to see a +1 Moonblast from a max special attack Mega Diancie does 51% to this Mew, so that's pretty insane bulk, as Iron Head just does clean take him out, revealing that he was no HP. I am going to U-turn here on the Reuniclus, just going out to my Wobbuffet, just in case he did want to set up. Now he fires off a Hidden Power Fighting, predicting my Weavile, which is a good play on his part. This kind of makes me think that he was more than likely not Colbur. If he was Colbur, then I probably would have, like if he was a Colbur variant of Reuniclus, I think Carmine would have been the play there. Or even Shadow Ball predicting my Wobbuffet, but if he was Assault Vest, which he actually turns out to be later on in the match, I can understand the Hidden Power Fighting play because you can't give Weavile a free switch in. Assault Vest Reuniclus loses to Weavile, whereas Colbur variant potentially lures it and kills it with HP Fighting or Focus Blast. So I can understand the HP Fighting on that play. But because I am creeping this Reuniclus, I can now Encore him into Hidden Power Fighting, which, you know, seems kind of strange, but at this point what this means is I can start whittling him down with Mirror Coat, putting him in range to die to a Pursuit from Weavile. And now I hadn't confirmed, I had my suspicions that he was Assault Vest, not Colbur at this point in the match, just purely based on the play he made, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't be 100% sure. I didn't want to take that risk in a playoff game, so I'm just going to fire off an Encore right here, you know, stopping him from being able to switch up moves and potentially healing. And so he gets another Hidden Power Fire off as I Mirror Coat. Now right here I just go for the Tickle, because if I can tickle him, he's in guaranteed range to die to Pursuit. Or so I thought. What I should have done is instead of Mirror Coating that last turn, I should have gone for 2 Tickles, guaranteeing he dies to Pursuit even if he is Colbur and if he stays in. That was a potential misplay on my part, but I did just go for the Hidden Power Fighting. I wasn't really thinking there, so I just go for Tickle right here, as we do get that defense lowered. And now he is essentially trapped in with his Reuniclus. But I did run some calcs, and then I realized that a Colbur -1 Reuniclus does live Pursuit if he decides to stay in and click HP Fighting. As I said, like I did have my suspicions that he was Assault Vest, but I hadn't confirmed it yet. You know, I had no way of confirming it. So I am just going to click Knockoff. His best switch into Knockoff is Wheezing, who I have a switch in the form of Alamomola and Mew, so I'm not really too phased. If he does want to switch out, it just means that you know, it's harder for his Wheezing to check my Weavile later on in the match. So I do just go for the Knockoff here, as it does take out the Reuniclus, which is very nice, revealing he was Assault Vest, so he would have died to a Pursuit anyway, so yeah, he made the right play staying in there. Then comes the Wheezing. I am just going to switch right out, go into my Alamomola, so I can get a Wish up and potentially heal back my Mew, which is my play. He fires off an Infestation, which is a very nice bring on his part. The fact that he brought Sneasel, Toxic on Sneasel, makes me think that his plan was to Toxic my Alamomola and later trap it with Wheezing, preventing it from being able to pass wishes and eventually dying to Toxic. So very nice building on Aberforth's part. If whether or not that was his plan, it definitely worked out for him here. I'm just going to fire off Scald just to gauge the damage. Put him in range of Psychic if he is like Assault Vest, Wheezing, but he goes for the T-Spikes. They're revealing that he's not Assault Vest at all. T-Spikes are nice because it now means that Mew definitely can't check Victini even if I get a Wish up. After T-Spikes damage and Stealth Rock, so it will be in range of V-Create. So very nice play in his part. I just go for the Wish here as he brings in Victini. Now I have no reason not to press Protect here just to scout out his set as he goes for the Bolt Strike. Now if he is a banded variant of Victini, I can take this. I'm just going to fire off a Scald here, just to whittle it down a bit, put it in range to die to Knockoff. If he's Colbur, his Bolt Strike, the Bolt Strike damage is going to basically reveal his item. If he's banned, it's going to do upwards of 60, meaning Weavile kills. And if Weavile can kill this Victini with Knockoff, then Metagross beats the Wheezing. Sorry, so you guys are going to see Bolt Strike does a ton of damage. It does 62%, guaranteeing that this thing is actually Choice Band Victini, which is very nice. It's a huge threat to my team, but it does mean that Weavile does beat it. So the fact that he's locked into Bolt Strike means that I have no point to risk my Weavile at this point. Just in case he does want to switch out to... The reason I went out to Metagross was if I went into Weavile there and clicked Knockoff and he switched out, I would have been taking Stealth Rock's damage plus 1 round of Toxic Spikes, putting me at a really low range of health. And then I'd have to switch back out and then sack another Monster Victini. My play 100% was just to go out to Metagross and click Earthquake. If he wanted to make the play and switch out to his Wheezing, I could kill it with a Psychic. and then sack Mew, and then win with Weavile. That he just chooses to stay in here and bolt strike with his Victini, dealing huge damage to Metagross, but we do hang on. Because I am lonely nature, I did take more damage from that bolt strike, so if that could have been a potential issue had he, say, got a crit. But we do live with Metagross right there, and now I am just going to be able to take out this Weezing with Psychic. So that is a match versus Aberforth. Very exciting game. I was pretty happy with the way Metagross worked out, but yeah, Aberforth really did bring a great team, and it was a very solid match in my opinion. I had a lot of fun playing it. So congratulations to Aberforth for making it this far in the playoffs in the season, having such a fantastic season. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I had a lot of fun playing this match, and it was a lot of fun to see, the sets come through. If you guys are hyped for more of the NPL playoffs, please let me know. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed, and let me know your thoughts on the match in the comments. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. That's always very much appreciated. I'd recommend you guys go and check out the other coaches in the playoffs. There have been other playoffs. I'm not going to discuss what happened in the matches, because I don't want to spoil it for you, but there have been other playoff matches already up, so I definitely recommend you go and check them out. Matty Brolick versus Dallas Boy. You've got Cheese versus Trev. That's going to be those two matches have been played, so I think they should already be up. And then we also have a match that hasn't been played yet, but Togavor versus my boy Top Tier Boy. So all fantastic players. They're going to be amazing matches, so I recommend you guys go and check them out. And get hyped, because these playoffs are as close as ever, and it's a very exciting time, as Matty Brolick would say, to be an NPL fan. So guys, go and check him out. Go and check out Aberforth as well. He's an awesome dude. He's in the CPC with me as well as the CFA. So I'm actually in 3 leagues with my boy Aberforth. So yeah, definitely a cool guy and a very, very talented player. So without further ado, I'm gonna call it there, and I hope you guys enjoyed one more time, and I'll see you later.